This is a video in response to American Family Radio. Today is Wednesday the 7th, but their broadcast Tuesday the 6th of the news show that they do, an hour and a half program, featuring the president of American Family Radio, American Family Association, Tim Wildman, and his son Walker Wildman, and a couple of other fellows. I don't know who they are. I'm severely disappointed in your views on what Christianity is. I just got through listening to a 30-minute segment. It started with the topic of some not Coptic Christians, but some Syrian Christians who were ransomed by a bishop and gave money to people in Iraq to ransom 200 plus Christians that were Syrian Christians who traced their lineage of the church back to Thomas the Doubter, and they questioned the morals of that, etc. And they started talking about ISIS and ISIL and who is the Islamic State and the differences between Shia and Sunni, and how ISIL has slaughtered moderate Sunnis and dumped them in graves. They never said Sunni and Shia, but that's who it is. The branch of Shia that is the ISIL. I'm not sure there's many Sunnis in ISIL, but you can basically just say moderate and radicalized Islamics, Muslims. So, and then they went on to talk about, and they made one statement, Tim Wildman did, that you can't just let these fellows live, you've got to wipe them out. And then they proceeded to talk about the Orange Letter campaign that they're involved in. I think that it's their own campaign. An Orange Letter campaign, which is sponsored by the Millennial Outreach Group of AFR, AFA, that they're writing letters to Syrians that basically say, we're with you, we support you, you're doing a good job, keep it, good work, God loves you. And then they talked about a letter that they got from the comptroller, Mr. Lembo, from Connecticut, that's questioning their 501c3 status as a tax-exempt status. So the the government employees of Connecticut, if they wish to give to that 501c3 organization, AFR, AFA, that they might might get rejected by the comptroller of Connecticut. I am, first of all, we live under a new and better covenant. And I mean we, when I say we, I mean all those Hebrews and Gentiles that were either under the law or not before the time of Christ. And when Christ came, the new and better covenant says that he, as the Messiah, has fulfilled the law, and he teaches that he is the fulfillment of the law. So all the law is good, and then everything that Christ said is supersedes and fulfills the law. So obviously, both sides are good. Thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt not kill, if you want to say it that way. The Hebrew word is, I'm not sure the exact Hebrew word, but it means manslaughter. It means slayer. Thou shalt not slay. You can't fight ISIS by wiping them out. You can't expect to live in a country that is not a Christian nation. The United States of America is not a Christian nation. It may have been at one point. That's for history to decide. but it's not now. Supreme Court, John Roberts writes law now. He doesn't interpret law. He rewrites the Constitution to meet his own whims. And if, 6 out of 7 are doing this, doesn't matter who the 7th one is. That's besides the point. The point is that you can't, as a Christian, expect your government and hurrah and hooray and parade and condone a governmental system to kill others. You don't do that. That's why I don't support the troops. I don't support the people who go in and fight for oil rights and who persecute Native Americans because they want clean water in the Ulagala Basin, the main water reservoir for the whole of the Midwest. Who kill babies and run drones that, shoot innocent people, even if they're guilty people, and kill guilty people. I as a Christian, I can't say that that's godly. I can't specifically say anything good about any United States military operation, the military-industrial complex of the United States, the corporation of the United States that's run by the federal government, not the United States of America country. I mean, there's even 2 flags to denote that. I used to live in a territory of the United States Virgin Islands, specifically St. Croix. The United States is not the United States of America. It's a totally different entity. Concurrently, I won't go farther down that road, but I will say that most Yankees don't know the difference. These Christian men on this radio station obviously are teaching a Christ. Well, it may be the same guy historically they're talking about, but they ignore much of what he says. If your enemy persecute you, if your enemy hurts you, turn the other cheek. If he asks you to go 1 mile, go 2 miles. If he says, give me your cloak, give him your shirt also. I don't know if anyone's ever asked me for my cloak, because I don't wear one. But coat would be the best substitute there. The idea is, Christ, for the second one, go the second mile. The law in Rome was when a Roman centurion asks a citizen or someone who lives in the land, carry this 1 mile for me. It wasn't a mile, but they didn't have that standard of measurement. But carry this X number of units. Christ said double that. So the teachings of Christ of the Bible, of Yeshua HaMashiach, or Yeshua, whatever you want to call him, that guy, that historical figure, taught to love your enemies. He says that it's been taught that you should love your neighbor, but I say love your enemies. Blessed are you when you're persecuted, etc., etc., etc. All the good and wonderful teachings that I've come to adhere to as a Bible follower. The people at AFR have decided to ignore. I say, if someone wants to ransom some Christians for money, sell all you have and give to the ransomers. And then quit bitching and moaning about one guy in Connecticut who says, blah, 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 I don't think you're 501c3. First of all, do you know what a 501c3 organization is? It means that you are already submitted to the government. No church with a 501c3 organization is part of the ecclesia in my book. And I don't know how people even understand that the church isn't, it's just a building. No, it's not just a building. I can't understand how these good old boys in Tupelo, Mississippi would ever condone the death of anyone. whether they submit to Al-Rahim, Allah, or not, is beyond my comprehension. I know the Quran, the later teachings, it says to kill the people of the cross. Well, come and get me, because I'm going to love you until you put a sword through my neck. Because it's better to serve in heaven than reign in hell. And I will not, I cannot be silent on this point that Christ condones killing. You know, you read the Old Testament, you talk to Joshua, you know, take down the Perizzites and all the other ites. But that was a different story in a different time. And I have my own views on that, that I won't go into here. But the new covenant, the new and better covenant, commonly called the New Testament, talks about loving your neighbor as yourself. Who is my neighbor? Everybody. So love Muslims. That's the plan. I don't have anything else. I'm just so sick of it.